In this video, I'll discuss the differences in the various pattern books we generally use in building costumes. There are 4 kinds of pattern books that costumers use. The first are the fashion industry pattern books. These books, take you step by step through the pattern drafting process to create the look that you're interested in. They also give you variations on that same basic look. There are also books that take you through the fashion draping patterning process, showing you step by step how to drape the bodice or garment that you're interested in creating. In all of these books, they show you the grain line, which is a very important thing to keep in mind as you're patterning or as you're draping. These patterning books will help you recreate the women's fashions from the 20th century. Another group of pattern books are historical pattern books. This one is from 1948 and shows you how to use the same basic slash and spread, shifting darts, all of those patterning techniques, but in the flavor of the fashion in 1948. With this period patterning book, you can recreate fashions of the day. Vintage Vogue has a line of period fashions, period patterns that they've reproduced that they originally produced back in the day. This pattern book is from the 1890s. These patterns are scaled to the human shape at that time. You need to, when you're using a period pattern book, you need to remember the impact of the lifestyle then versus the actor's body you're working with now. For example, the constant wearing of a corset produces a smaller waist and higher bust lines with the corset pushing the bosom up. Also, you need to consider diet and the impact of what was fashionable at that time. Also, I think we need to consider the impact of Title IX, which in our time today produces an entire generation of girls who are playing soccer and being more muscular than the girls at this time who sat around and did their embroidery. Men's pattern drafting books follow the same arc. For example, men's drafting books from the 1970s show a slimmer fit than perhaps the men's drafting books of 1933. This 1933 pattern draft produces a different silhouette than the one from 1974. You need to keep in mind the publication date of the patterning book that you're looking at for your research. There are also patterning books, the cut of men's clothes for example, that show patterns from 1850 and through the centuries. In costuming, these books are industry standard. They're by Nora Waugh and Janet Arnold. And the work that these 2 women did involved going to museums or estates and documenting, measuring and documenting actual period costumes from the period, and then making accurate diagrams showing where the seams are, the darts, the pitch of the sleeve, meaning where the grain line is. These are an invaluable resource for period costuming. In this well-used book of mine, the copy of the Janet Arnold, she does this line drawing, a brief description, some interior views showing where the boning is, the seaming, and the treatments there. And here then are her diagrams, again, showing seams, darts, and grain lines. Something to notice, remember, about the pattern placement on this page is that directly vertical, these lines indicate grain line. So when you come to a curved sleeve piece like this, you can easily know where the grain line is on that sleeve. In this Nora Waugh book, you can tell where the grain line is because of the line squared around the pattern piece. It indicates where the straight of grain marches parallel across the page. This book by Nancy Bradfield is another good resource. There are no patterns per se, but she also has researched actual garments, describing them, who they might belong to, where she found them, and then detailed drawings of the size of pleats, seam placement, where these seams are boned. This is excellent period research when we want to translate a period look and a period cut into a pattern that fits a contemporary actor. This last group of books is a series of books by Jean Honeysett. She is a contemporary pattern maker and costume builder for film, television, stage. She's worked worldwide. These books take the patterns that are inspired by the period, and she has translated them to fit contemporary bodies today. At the beginning of each book, she tells you about the size that she drapes in, and you can take that and adapt these to a contemporary body. In each part of the book, she describes a summary of the period, describes construction techniques, and then gets into actual patterns that are scaled for the human body today. 1 square on this page equals 1 inch, which means that you can measure and expand these patterns easily for the actor's body today.